Hey guys, welcome back to another NeoForge modding tutorial. I am finally back after a little bit of a hiatus. Apologize for being gone so long, just had a lot of stuff going on, from moving to celebrating my anniversary to just getting the new internet working at the new place. But I've kind of got everything working now and finally ready to get back into these videos. Thank you guys for being so patient, I really appreciate it. And today we are going to be getting into the topic of recipes. Specifically, we are going to go over shaped recipes, shapeless recipes, and cooking recipes. And for the cooking, we'll do the furnace, the smoker, the campfire, and the blast furnace, just so you get an idea of all of that cooking stuff. I know there are some other smaller crafting-related block entities that we could make recipes for, but I figured this would at least get us into the basics. And if you guys really want to see recipes for all that other kind of stuff, then just let me know down in the comments, and I'll try to add it to this list of future video topics that I've got. So without further ado, let's jump into today's topic and start with a shapeless crafting recipe. So for these first few recipes, we are actually going to use the wood blocks that we created in the last few videos. And the first thing that we're going to want to do is come over into our folders over here. We're going to go into the resources folder. We're going to want to go to data. We're going to go into cool stuff mod, or whatever your mod name is, and we are going to right click and create a new directory, and we are going to call this recipes. So this is where all of our recipes are going to be stored. Unlike other stuff, this is just going to be JSON files, so we actually won't need to write any code for this. It takes all of these JSON files and decodes them in pre-existing Minecraft vanilla code, based on the type of recipe that you declare in the JSON file. So, jumping right into it, we are going to make a shapeless crafting recipe that turns our blood logs into blood planks. So to do this, we are going to right-click recipes and create a new file. And we're going to name this bleeding_planks.json. Okay, so we have our JSON file here, and we are going to start by opening up a new set of curly braces. The first thing we're going to do is set the type parameter. So we're going to set this to, in double quotes, Minecraft crafting _ shapeless. Okay, and all this says is that the type of recipe that we're going to be declaring here is going to be a shapeless recipe, which means that the ingredients can be in any order in the crafting table. It doesn't have to be in a specific order, it could just be wherever in a crafting table. And you don't have to specify whether it needs to be in a full crafting table or just in your inventory, like a 2x2 crafting table. If it's small enough, then you'll just be able to do it in your 2x2 crafting table no matter what. But if the recipe would take up more room than a 2x2 would be able to handle, then it will just only be able to be crafted in a crafting table. So no extra work is needed for that. It's all automatic for this. So the next thing that we're going to set is the category. So category. And we are going to set this to building, because this is just going to be some building blocks. If this block were powered by redstone, we'd do redstone. If it were like a food item, we'd just do like food. For random other stuff, you do MISC for miscellaneous. But for this, we're going to do building. So we'll just hit enter and go down to the next line. And we are going to set the ingredients parameter. So ingredients. And we are going to create a new set of square brackets. And then in there, a new set of curly braces. And this is just going to be a list of all the items that will be needed. In this case, it's just going to be one item. So we will, in parentheses, type in item, and then set the item parameter to cool stuff mod : bleeding_log. Now, if you were to add multiple items for the shapeless crafting recipe, all you do is come down to this curly bracket, hit enter, and create a new set of curly braces. Oh, and make sure that there is a comma, and then you'd add that item in there, up to 9 items. Now, something to note, if you are going to have multiple of the same item in a shapeless crafting recipe, then you do just add that item multiple times. There isn't like adding a count parameter or anything like that. You just add it individually multiple times. up to how many times you need it in the shapeless crafting recipe. So do keep that in mind. But for now, we are going to remove this, and we'll come down to our square bracket here and hit enter. We are going to set the result parameter, and we are going to open up a new set of curly braces for it. And then inside of the results, we are going to set the count parameter, and we will set this to 4, and then we will hit enter and set the ID parameter, and we will set this to, in double quotes, cool stuff mod colon bleeding underscore planks. Okay, so that should be all set. We have our ingredients here, which is just 1 bleeding log, and then we have our result here, which should be 4 bleeding planks. So that is all for that. We can now close out of that, so that should be all good. And I will now launch Minecraft in debug mode to get this tested out. So I will see you over there. Okay, so we are now back in the game. So let's just real quick grab a crafting table. And then we can come over here and grab our bleeding logs. And if we place down a crafting table and throw these in here, you can see that we do indeed get 4 bleeding planks. And we can put this anywhere inside the crafting table. But if we have 2 sets, then that won't work. It can only be 1 thing of bleeding planks and only in 1 slot. But it can be anywhere in this. And if we open up, if we go into survival mode, so game mode survival, and we were to put these in here, then it also works in there, just like I was saying. So there we go. It looks like all of that is working just fine. Okay, so that is our example for a shapeless crafting recipe. Like I was kind of saying earlier, you don't need a whole bunch of stuff, so we don't need to like add all these mod event bus things and everything like that for recipes. They're pretty simple. So we will move on to our next type of crafting recipe, which is the shaped recipe. And for this, we are going to turn those planks that we now have a crafting recipe for into the slabs that we've created. So to do this, we are just going to go back into recipes, and we are going to create a new file. And this one we are going to call bleeding underscore slab.json. And it starts out similarly to the shapeless crafting recipe. So we will create a new set of curly braces. We are going to set the type parameter. And this time we will set it to, in double quotes, Minecraft crafting underscore shaped. So instead of shapeless, it is shaped this time. And we will hit enter. And we'll set the category parameter. And we will set this to building again, because it is also a block. Oh, sorry, building. So here is where things start to become a little bit different. The next parameter that we're going to set is called the key parameter. And after the colon, we are going to open up a new set of curly braces. And inside of here is where all of the keys will be for the items we're going to use in our recipe. Now the keys can be symbols or letters, and you'll be using them in 3 rows of strings to lay out what your recipe is supposed to look like. So as an example, we will set the first key to the hashtag symbol. You'll see this pretty often if you look at examples of other crafting recipes in Minecraft already. And so we will set the colon, create a new set of curly braces, and we'll say that this item parameter will be set to cool stuff mod colon bleeding underscore planks. Okay, so now whenever we use hashtag in our string, it will stand for the bleeding planks block. But if I wanted to, I could replace this hashtag with something like P for plank. Okay, so now that we have that set up, considering we will only be using this one item, we will come down to the curly brace just outside of the key and hit enter. So now we've gone outside of key, and we're going to set a new parameter called pattern. And we are going to open up a new set of square brackets. And in here, this is where we're going to set up our double quotes. Now to start, you can just create 3 sets of double quotes on 3 different lines, delineated with commas. So just like this, double quote, comma, and then new line, double quote, comma, and then new line, double quote. And if you want this to just kind of look like a crafting table, you can create 3 spaces inside of these double quotes. You don't have to do this, but this can just make it a little easier to understand what you're seeing or understand what we need. And we will be following the typical plank recipe for this, which, as you know, is just 3 planks in a horizontal line. So I could select all 3 of these at the bottom and replace it with the letter P. So P, P, and P, right? So now all of these are set at the bottom. This is the 3 slots for a crafting table. But now we have all these blank spaces up here. So the question is, what do we do with all the blank spaces? And the answer is, if the entire line is empty, then you will just delete all of it. And so that would just leave you with, in double quotes, P and P and P all together. And the thing about this is that this allows it to be on any one of the rows in the crafting table. So you could add the 3 planks to the top row, to the middle row, or to the bottom row, and it works in all of those positions. And this is why, because you're getting rid of all of that space. Now let's say, for instance, we didn't want to do it this way, right? Say we wanted to create a recipe in a different way. So I will remove these and put them back into spaces. Say we wanted this to be a diagonal line, right? So we take this first space and replace this with our key. Take this middle space, replace this with our key, and take this last space up here and replace this with our key. So this would create a diagonal line. Since we have a key in all 3 of these, we would keep all of them. We don't delete any of these spaces or anything like that. We keep all of these blank spaces. And now we could create slabs by putting planks in those 3 spaces. However, this also works in reverse. So we'd also be able to put the planks in this space, and this space, and it would also work. And that's why you're able to craft things like axes facing the left and facing the right, because it adapts based on the blank spaces and it automatically reverses it. So it creates a lot of these different combinations without having to do all that extra work. Now, for instance, let's say that we wanted to, instead of having it diagonal, we'll replace these with a space. Let's say we wanted it to be vertical, so up and down. So we'll replace these with the P keys. Let's actually make this uppercase. Now, in this situation, we actually can get rid of these extra spaces, okay? Because the important part is that all 3 of these lines have an equal number of characters inside of them. So if, for instance, the pattern was this, then we'd also need to have these spaces here. But we don't have to have this 3rd space over here. And the reason we can do this is the same reason we could have all 3 P's down here and just remove all this and just have it like this. So just to go over it real quick, if we were to have a second key, so we'll hit enter here, and let's say we create a hashtag key, and we'll open up our curly braces, and we will set a new item, and let's say that we use cool stuff mod bleeding underscore log. So now we have the hashtag representing the log block item. All we would do is just put it in here. So now it would take a plank, a log, and another plank, and then that would create the slabs. So whenever you need to add new items, all you need to do is just place them where you need them within these 3 lines. You don't have to create new lines or anything like that. Say we did this, and then this, right? And then this. We can totally do this. This is a completely valid crafting recipe. It just means we need planks here and here and here. Let's say this is a plank, right? And then this is a log. So we could have planks in the corners and then log in a straight line. And this would use multiple items for a crafting recipe. But for us, we just need the 3 planks along the one line because we're only going to be using 1 item for our crafting recipe. but this is how you would use multiple items if your crafting recipe called for it. So let's get rid of all this, and let's replace this, and get rid of this. Okay, so that should be everything you need to know about the keys and the patterns, and how all those are used together. So now just come to this square bracket with the pattern, hit enter, and now we will set our result parameter, and we will open up a new curly brace here, and we'll set the count parameter to 6, and then we will set the ID parameter to, in double quotes, cool stuff mod colon bleeding underscore slab. And that should be all for this crafting recipe. So we have this as a shaped crafting recipe. We set our keys here. For our sake, we just had one key, but you can have multiple. And then in the pattern, we set up the pattern in the array that we needed to, with just 3 flat planks. And then finally, we set the result to return 6 bleeding slabs. So that should be it for this. So let's jump into Minecraft in debug mode and test it out. All right, so we are back in the game, and let's just grab some bleeding planks real quick. And if we were to put these in the crafting table like so, you see that we do in fact get bleeding slabs. And we can put them in the middle and get bleeding slabs, or at the top. Now, something you will notice is that the crafting recipes will not be put sideways automatically. So we can't put them vertically like this. They have to be horizontal like this. However, it would flip it if, say, we were able to do something like this. Then we would also be able to do something like this. It would automatically flip it like that, but does not automatically rotate it. So, with that being said, it looks like all of that is working properly. If I were to go back into survival mode, you'd see that we don't really have enough room to do this in our little 2x2 inventory, so we would not be able to make it in there. However, we can make it in the crafting table just fine. Alright, so back into the IDE, we have finished our shapeless crafting recipe, and we have finished our shaped crafting recipe. The next thing that we are going to be moving on to are furnace or cooking recipes. So we'll go over the furnace, the smoker, the campfire, and the blast furnace. And they're all pretty similar with just a little bit of nuance for each of them. So with that said, let's jump into our first furnace recipe. Now for this, I've actually created 2 items beforehand, and we're going to be using these for all of the cooking related recipes. I've created a dried orange food, and I've created a tempered iron ingot. The dried orange food will be used for the furnace, the smoker, and the campfire, and the tempered iron ingot will be used for the furnace and the blast furnace. And this is what they look like. That is the dried orange, and this is the tempered iron ingot. So just super simple stuff. And we will come back here and get rid of all that stuff. So under recipes, we are going to create a new file. We are going to call this dried underscore orange, orange.json. And in here, we are going to open up a new set of curly braces. We are going to set the type parameter, and in double quotes, we'll set it to Minecraft, comma, smelting. So this is for the furnace, and we will come to the end and hit enter. We will set the category parameter to, in double quotes, food. Now this is where the parameters start to get a little bit different. We are going to create a cooking time parameter, and we will set this to 200 seconds. That is the typical time that it takes to smelt something in a furnace. And we will set the experience parameter, and this will set to 0.35 and hit enter. Next, we will set the ingredient parameter. Oops, it looks like I misspelled that. Ingredient. And for this, we will open up a new set of curly braces and add an item parameter. And we will set this to cool stuff mod orange, because we are just going to be putting an orange into the furnace and we are expecting to get this item back out. So after the ingredient, we are going to hit enter, create the result parameter, open up a new set of curly braces, and set the ID parameter to cool stuff mod dried underscore orange. Okay, so we've created a smelting recipe under the category of food. We've set the cooking time to 200 ticks. That's what the 200 means, by the way. It's 200 ticks. We set the experience parameter, and in case you were wondering why it's 0.35, this is 0.35 of a point of experience. How the furnaces work is that they store up these points, and then when you take the items out, it gives you all of the experience. So smelting one item would give you 0.35 points of experience, and it will release that experience once it becomes a full number, like 1, 2, whatever. And then we have set the ingredient to be the orange, and the result from cooking it to be the dried orange. So that is all it should take for the dried orange recipe. Like I said, it's pretty simple. So we are going to set up the smoker and campfire recipe, and then we will test this all out. So we are going to come to recipes. We're going to create a new file, and the name of this will be dried underscore orange underscore from underscore smoker.json. So typically how you name these is you set the furnace recipe to just be the default name, and then you set the smoker and campfire recipe to a different name, so either from smoker or from campfire cooking. And this is just to differentiate it, but typically you do give the furnace recipe the original item name. So since this is actually pretty similar, we could actually come over to the dried orange recipe, copy this over, and paste it. And what we're going to want to change here is, first of all, the type, and we're going to change this from smelting to smoking. So this will use the smoker block. We are going to want to change the cooking time to be 1/2 of what it is in the furnace. So from 200 to 100, and we can keep the experience, ingredients, and result all the same. So really the only thing you're changing with this is the type and the cooking time, because smokers are meant to cook food items at half the time it takes to cook in a furnace. And finally, we can set up our campfire recipe. So go back into recipes, create a new file, and call this one dried underscore orange underscore from underscore campfire underscore cooking .json. So I know it is a long name, but that is the typical convention for this that I've seen in the other recipe examples. So just like the other one, we can just paste the old smelting recipe in. You're going to want to change the type to campfire underscore cooking. And we are going to want to change the cooking time to 3 times the furnace length. So from 200 to 600. Now, technically speaking, if you really wanted to, you could actually change the cooking time to less if that's what you want your mod to do. But the standard for the campfire is that it takes 3 times as long, and then the smoker takes half as long as the furnace. It is your mod. You can do whatever you want. So you could make this 100 ticks if you really wanted to, make it faster than the smoker. It's really up to you, but that's just the standard, so that's what I'm doing here. And the rest of this will stay the same, just like the smoker recipe. Now, something to note, I don't think campfires actually drop experience, but the recipes that I saw did still have this experience parameter in here. So you can just leave it, but keep in mind that the campfire shouldn't drop experience. So that's going to be all for the cooking recipes. So I will close out of all of those, and I will launch Minecraft in debug mode, and we will try all these recipes out. All right, so I have the game launched. I've actually already got all of the cooking options set up here. So we've got our furnace, our smoker, and then both of the campfires, just to show that it works with either of them. So first we have our furnace. So let's just add our coal and our orange, and it looks like it is gonna be cooking. And if we just wait for it, we now have our dried orange. All right, now we can try the same with the smoker. and it looks like it's cooking that up real fast. You can see that it's taking a lot less time to actually cook. And we have our dried orange again, and we could place an orange on both of these, and you can see that it is starting to smoke, and it has been placed on both of the campfires, so it looks like it's cooking for both of them. And it looks like both of them have popped off here. We can see that they have fallen back there. And so it looks like all of our crafting recipes work here, so we can call that a success. Okay, so for our final two recipes, we have the tempered iron ingot that we are going to be placing in both the furnace and blast furnace. So let's just jump right into that. We are going to go into the recipes folder once again, create a new file, and we will call this tempered _iron _ingot.json. And in here, we are going to create a new set of curly braces. We are going to set the type parameter to Minecraft :smelting. So just like the food, because it is a furnace recipe, it is going to be the smelting type. You're going to hit enter, set the category parameter, and this time we will set it to MISC for miscellaneous, because this will not be a food item. Next, we're going to hit enter and set the cooking time parameter, and yet again we will set this to 200 ticks. In case you're wondering, 200 ticks is about 10 seconds because the default for the game is that 20 ticks equals 1 second. So the default cook time is about 10 seconds. Next, we will set the experience parameter here, so experience, and we will set this to 0.7. 0.7 was the experience parameter for just a typical iron ingot, so I figured I'd just do the same. So now we can hit the enter key, and we are actually going to set the group parameter. This is a different one, and we're going to set it to iron _ingot. And this is just a part of the recipe book that groups together different items. And since this is pretty similar to an iron ingot, we're going to kind of put this in the iron ingot family. So we'll set the group to iron ingot and hit enter. And then next we will set the ingredient parameter, ingredient. And for this, we are going to open up a new set of curly braces and set the item parameter. And we are going to set this in double quotes to Minecraft :iron _ingot. And the reason for this is that I want to take an iron ingot and I want to smelt that iron ingot and turn it into a tempered iron ingot. So this way you can actually cook iron twice. So our ingredient has been set. We'll go down to the bottom there and hit enter and set the result parameter. Create a new set of curly braces and set the ID parameter to cool stuff mod :tempered _iron _ingot. Okay, so now we have the type set to a smelting recipe. We've set it to the miscellaneous category. We've set up the cook time to the default of 200 ticks. We've set the experience. We've put it in the iron ingot group. And we have our ingredients and result, taking 1 iron ingot and giving us 1 tempered iron ingot. So this is almost exactly like the dried orange recipe, except we replace the ingredients and change the experience. So we can close out of that. And we will create our final recipe here, which is the blast furnace variant of this. So we'll go back into recipes, create a new file, and name this tempered _iron _ingot _from _blasting.json. And for this, we can actually just come over and copy this and paste it in here. Change the type from Minecraft smelting to Minecraft blasting, and change the cook time from 200 ticks to 100 ticks. And that is all we need to change. So that is the recipes for the tempered iron ingot completely done. Just one real quick side tangent. If you had multiple items that you wanted to be able to smelt down or blast down into one type of item, then what you'll actually want to do is, instead of creating a curly brace in the ingredients, you're going to want to create a set of square brackets and then add your curly braces inside of there and add commas, create another item, add another comma, add your next item, and then all of these items, say they were multiple things, right? Say these are 3 different items. All 3 of these would be able to be blasted down into this one item. So you don't have to make multiple recipes for blasting multiple things down into this one item. You can just add multiple different types of ingredients and they'll all return this one item. So this is a little bit different from the Shapeless crafting recipe, because with that, you're having all of these items inside and it's supposed to give you the one thing. But in this case, this just allows you to have less JSON files, have less recipes, and just have all of this stuff turn into this one item. So keep that in mind as you're doing your development. If you have multiple things that you just want to kind of smelt down into one, then that's how you do it. All right, so it looks like we have returned to our curly braces because we just have one item. And I will launch Minecraft in debug mode and see you over there to test it. Okay, so we are back in the game. I have my furnace and blast furnace set up here. So just starting out here, we can put in our coal. And if we were to put in some iron here, it looks like it is in fact smelting. And for the end result, we should get our tempered iron ingot. Yep, there it is. We now have our tempered iron ingot from that. And if we were to do the same in the blast furnace, it should smelt a lot quicker. And there it is. We have our 2 tempered iron ingots, one from a furnace and one from a blast furnace. So these will probably be used in a future episode for armor and tools. And that should be all for that. It looks like it is smelting successfully. So that about wraps up our video today. Today we've gone over shapeless recipes, shaped recipes, furnace recipes, smoker recipes, campfire recipes, and blast furnace recipes. So a whole slew of recipes, and that should be a good start for your mod. Let me know if you guys want to actually see the other kind of crafting recipes, the more nuanced ones that use the other block entities. But I figured that should do it for this. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate your guys' support. All of the comments have just been so lovely and so nice, and I really appreciate them all. And I do intend on continuing this series. I have an entire list with me right here that I am going to be going over, hopefully, one by one. And by the end of it, hopefully you will be a pro modder, or just an okay modder, you know. I hope that these videos have been helpful. If you've enjoyed these videos, make sure to leave a like and make sure to subscribe to the channel so that you get notified of new videos that come out so that you can start modding as quickly as possible. If you'd like to support the channel, I do have a Ko-fi page, and the link for that is in the description. Ko-fi is just a platform where you can send donations, either one time or recurring, and that just helps me with making the videos, getting them done. And I plan to, once we hit our goal on there, do a big stream where we're going to be doing bug fixing and just implementing stuff live, and hopefully it'll just be a whole lot of fun. But yeah, once I reach the goal on there, we plan to do a stream probably on YouTube for that, and it's going to be this whole big thing. I plan to make it like hours long so that people can just kind of drop in and drop out whenever they have time. So that should be really fun. I also post all kinds of updates and things like that over on Ko-fi, so you can get the latest news on how far the next video has progressed and when that may be coming out. And I actually have a poll on there that should be up right now that you can go vote on to figure out which video topic I will be covering next. So go over there, make your voice heard, leave a vote for whatever one you want to have, and if the one that you really want isn't there, make sure to either leave a comment here or on that post, and I will make sure to add it to my list. So thank you again for all the support, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye. It's that time again to thank the Ko-fi supporters. A huge shout out to Scroopies and Walter for leaving a donation on the Ko-fi platform. It is really appreciated. Thank you so much. Whenever I get these donations, it always warms my heart. And if you want to be on this list, make sure to go over to Ko-fi and leave any kind of donation. It could literally be $1. It does not matter. Any little bit helps and is super appreciated. By the time the next video comes out, I'll probably be switching to a list of the past month supporters. So by the next video, it will be the names of all the people who have supported in the month of July, instead of the people who have just donated since the last video. I feel like it'll make it a little bit easier and smoother to track. Thank you all again so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.